The Old Republic was an era of Star Wars where many wars and conflicts were fought, battles were waged, and conflicts were plenty, and the galaxy saw more turmoil than it would see even in the era of the Clone Wars. We is known as conflicts such as the Galactic Civil War, the Jedi Civil War, the Great Galactic War, and many, many more, such as the 100-Year Darkness. However, there is one particular conflict and one particular being that took the galaxy by storm, blindsiding both the Republic and the Sith Empire alike at the time of the new Sith Wars. The Eternal Empire seemingly came out of nowhere, carving a devastating path of detriment and power right through the middle of the war, blindsiding both the Jedi and the Sith. The man who led this Eternal Empire, Immortal Emperor Zakul Valkorian, is someone we are very familiar with. However, today we're going to be focusing on one of his two children. Most notably, the child in white. This child is Arcaan. Arcaan, who would soon assume his father's place as ruler of the Eternal Empire and commander of the Eternal Fleet, and was eventually usurped by his own sister in Valen. Arcaan took the galaxy by storm and ruled the galaxy for 5 years unchallenged. Although a Cold War was waged, no attempts to usurp Arcaan's rule was staged, as both the Jedi and the Sith even combined could not usurp the absolute power and absolute authority that Arcaan had established with his Eternal Fleet. We recently made a video about the Eternal Fleet, however today we're going to be making a video about Arcaan, and seeing him in breaking down his history and deducing how much of a threat to the galaxy he really was, as potentially a being who rivaled the power of Darth Malgus. The Force-sensitive man known as Arcaan was a Force-sensitive human male who was the son of Senya Tiral and Tenebrae, who would utilize the body of Valkorian, a well-renowned man and warrior on the wild space planet of Zakul, the immortal empire of the Eternal Empire. He was the twin brother of Thexan, and ironically, though he was dressed in white, adhered more to the dark side. He led a series of raids against the worlds of a larger galaxy. Arcaan grew up studying the Force intensively, engaging in various combat trials with various Knights of Zakul, and most likely beating all of them based on our analytics and what the Old Republic game trailers can show us. However, Valkorian remained unimpressed, while Thexan, his twin brother, was ripe and okay with the attention that he got from his mother and his sister. Arcaan secretly desired the approval of his father. Little did Arcaan know that his father was a monster of the very worst kind, and he was the son of perhaps the most evil man the galaxy would ever see, as the son of the Sith Emperor Tenebrae, who had been permanently cut off from emotion or even a slight bit of fear or evil. Afterwards, he led a series of crusades against the Republic. During this attack on Korriban, Arcaan was caught in a devastating explosion that took off his left arm and devastatingly burned and scarred the left side of his face. Afterwards, he received cybernetic replacements and went on to slaughter Darth Axtora and 4 of her Sith companions, plowing through all the enemies, taking them down with devastating fiery fury. After he called Valkorian, seeming to be hailed as a war hero, Valkorian seemingly neglected his son's injuries despite them being near fatal, and could have resulted in his more powerful son's actual death, something that Valkorian already had foreseen would not come on the horizon if all his machinations went to plan. Despite this, Valkorian paid little attention to his son's injuries, and Arcaan, driven into a rage that he had never felt before, shattered the hologram that he was using to communicate with Valkorian. Subsequently, Arcaan became furious at the indifference of Valkorian, and after being resolved out to the Eternal Empire, bringing the lightsabers of Darth Axtora and various other Sith acolytes, while Thexan brought the lightsabers of Jedi acolytes and warriors. After Valkorian turned his back on them for the last final time, Arcaan was overcome with a rage of the dark side that he had never felt before, and attempted to slaughter him, while Valkorian remained still as a bird, staring out into the empty void of space, still as a chair, while Arcaan attempted to decapitate his father. Thexan, however, intervened, would not allow Arcaan to become insatisfied and overwhelmed with his own rage. However, Arcaan's rage had to be satiated, and it turned on the nearest thing to him, his own brother, his most primary form of camaraderie and bravery. It was a fierce but ferocious duel. Arcaan's blades struck true, and he ended his brother right there and there. As Thexan's lifeless corpse fell to him before him, his torso severed. He stared up and looked at his father, who had seemingly teleported, looking down at Arcaan in approval. You see, what Valkorion had wanted this entire time was a show of true strength, and perhaps a tad bit of evil. Valkorion saw that the boys would always be considered weak to him due to their reliance of one another. They both loved one another and cared for one another more than anyone in the galaxy, believing that they were the only people that they had in the entire galaxy, due to the negligence of their father and their mother not being good enough in their mind. So, Valkorion's birth of these two twins was quite precarious. He only wanted the strongest of his sons to sit beside him on the throne. And after this, he had a problem and designed a trial that they would have to figure out for themselves. He only wanted the strongest of his sons to serve beside him, and now he had that son. When Valkorion offered to share his power with the Outlander, a pivotal figure in the Old Republic, Arcaan attempted to assassinate Valkorion again, which was successful, killing Valkorion's physical body. Unbeknownst to him, he had orchestrated this. Valkorion's spirit fled his host and attached himself to the Outlander, whom Arcaan trapped by freezing in carbonite. Arcaan assumed his father's eternal throne, and led the Eternal Empire in a massive invasion of the larger galaxy, utilizing Valkorion's supposed assassination of unprovoked aggression, in quotation marks, by the Outlander, although it was really him to seize power, to absolutely dominate the galaxy. He then engaged in a crusade which ultimately prevailed over both the Sith Empire and the Galactic Republic within a year, forcing them to pay tribute and making Zakuul the dominant power in the galaxy, as well as the Eternal Fleet, the primary ruling body. Arcaan ruled for Emperors 5 years after his father's death, until the Outlander was rescued from Carbonite and started a war against Zakuul. During the Battle of Odessen, Arcaan was bested in single combat by the Outlander and taken by his mother to recuperate after very nearly dying, while Arcaan's sister, Valen, along with the sentient droid Scorpio, took over the Eternal Throne in his absence. After being healed on Voss, at the devastating cost of Senya's own life, Arcaan returned to Zakuul to aid the Outlander against his sister, joining the Alliance. Afterwards, it depends on what the player chooses and how they want to end the story. In one continuity, Arcaan is slain, and Valen is also slain. However, in the other, Arcaan is redeemed, and joins the Outlander in the final fight against Valkorion. Meditating on the Dramoth holocron in his final battle against Valkorion, Arcaan's consciousness emerged inside the commander's mind, where he had learned that Valen's essence remained bound to Valkorion's spirit after her death. The commander used Dramoth's holocron to free Valen, liberating her from her direct control by Valkorion. Though when offered a chance to avenge her own death, she agreed that her father was making a good point. However, the commander and Arcaan managed to change her mind, and the three engaged Valkorion in the mind space. After toying with them briefly, Valkorion destroyed the holocron, claiming that even with an arsenal of superweapons and 100 more holocrons, that nothing would be able to stop him. However, since his spirit was now bound to Valen's, the commander used the phrase "kneel before the dragon of Zakuul" to rob him of his own strength and power. Overpowered and weakened, Valkorion watched as Senya joined her children in the commander's mind, and together the family watched the immortal Emperor's final words and moments, until the commander put a final end to the millennia-long existence of the immortal Emperor of the Sith. Back in the physical world, Arcaan noted that he no longer felt the overwhelmingly dark presence of his father, and did not think he could return to the world of the living ever again. The commander then proclaimed the Age of the Eternal Alliance, which Arcaan would be a pivotal member of. However, Arcaan and Senya would return, later joining the commander when Lord Scourge and Kira Carson revealed themselves to the existence of Valkorion's final weapon in the form of a plague etched into his original form of Tenebrae. Unleashed on Jedi Master Satele Shan and her cultists and Jedi followers, they travelled to Kira Carson's vessel, where they reunited with T-701 and learned that the last Scions of Zakuul have perished in the clash with the servants of Tenebrae, who followed Valkorion in his Sith Emperor persona. The commander and the others joined the hive mind of Satele and her others in the meditative trance, but were separated once inside. Arcaan and Senya came across spirits of their loved ones, Thexan and Valen, while Kira and the commander were joined by Darth Maul and Lord Revan. Valkorion appeared alongside his other forms, known as Vitiate and Tenebrae, revealing to Arcaan's family the true face of the Patriarch for the first time. Together with others victims of Tenebrae, both dead and alive, they are able to destroy this mental imprint of him, putting an end to any chance of his return, and entombing him to the very void of chaos, a place that only two beings in all galactic history have managed to return from, and not without aid. But how powerful and how much was a threat was this son of the immortal Emperor, and was he the most powerful of Valkorion's offspring? Arcaan was naturally a strong force user and a highly skilled duelist, inheriting his father's latent potential. He was able to effortlessly defeat both Sith Lords and Jedi Knights, famously slaying Darth Vader and defeating the Outlander in single combat. He utilized a yellow-bladed lightsaber in combat, and demonstrated the use of Yellow Force Lightning, something unique about his character, as Yellow Force Lightning, especially in the expanded universe, typically attributes to the likes of Force Judgment that was utilized by Plo Koon and Luke Skywalker. He used powerful pulse pushes, which shows a great proficiency in mastery of telekinesis. Arcaan's most proficient ability was of the use of Force Lightning, even with hindrances such as his cybernetic arm, hindering him from becoming a master over the ability like his father. Arcaan was able to fuel his hatred and conjure small storms with the ability. Arcaan was also skilled with the convection ability, as he was able to both chain lightning and convection to an ability that destroyed HK-55 instantly. Defensively, Arcaan can employ Tutor Minutes, and he was capable of defending against Valkorion's Force Storm for a brief period of time. Arcaan is still in politics, and after taking control of Zakuul, he made it the most powerful political faction in the history of the galaxy. He also had a degree of talent as a military commander, managing to defeat both the Republic and the Empire within a short span of 1 year, with the might of the Eternal Fleet on his side. Arcaan was regarded by Satele Shan and Darth Maul, believing that much of Arcaan's power was due to his approach at handling, mastering, and using the Force. They also considered that no Jedi or Sith could defeat him, excluding and including Ma and Satele, and rather the Outlander would have to expand his horizons to truly topple the Eternal Throne. The Outlander and Senya even admitted that Arcaan was almost invincible compared to him. Senya, as a child, was far weaker than Arcaan, Vaylin, and Thexan even combined, even when they were children and had no latent force potential that was realized yet. Lana Beniko claimed that Arcaan never feared anything despite having to confront his own father, Valkorion, and Senya also believed that without proper training, Arcaan may humble the Outlander and kill the prodigious hero of the Jedi. Valkorion has constantly praised Arcaan's power. The authenticity of these statements, however, is in question, since they may have used his head to trick the player into becoming his pawn, with the Outlander even sensing and praising Arcaan's strong connection to the Force. Arcaan telepathically projects himself into the Outlander's mind with the assistance of Lord Drama's holocron, and assisted the Outlander along with Senya against Vaylin and her Horizon Guards after the removal of her conditioning. Arcaan even engaged in a prolonged duel with Vaylin, who was capable of dominating a Knights of the Old Republic ET-3 Outlander. Arcaan can be seen hurling and deflecting force blasts, as well as exchanging lightsaber blows with Vaylin over the course of the fight, proving that they seem to be evenly matched, at least at this time, as Vaylin still had her conditioning on, and would become far, far more powerful. He is even resisted and proclaimed by Valkorion that his son was too strong, and that the Outlander required Valkorion's own power, and that only unified with the greatest Dark Lord that had ever lived, and one of the greatest Jedi of all time, could they defeat him. Well, my friends, what did you think of this video? Did you personally respect the Eternal Emperor of the Eternal Empire? A puppet to be moved across the board by Valkorion for sure, but certainly a devastating warrior. And now that he has been redeemed, he must make amends. Long live the Dragon of Zakuul, and I'll see you in the next video.